because nobody believed. Nobody gave us a chance. Your whole network doubted us. Nobody believed us. And then they tried to rob us with calls in this place. And these guys are so resilient. You know what I mean? We talked about intent. What was our intent when we walked on the field? Our intent was not to take pictures, not to do all the superstar stuff. Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
All right, that's enough. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live on a Sunday night, talking call-in show. Teams currently built for a national title in college football. Got to hear from you guys. Want to hear from you guys. And yeah, so I dropped the StreamYard link. So far, we got Mayhem Matthew in here in the chat. Love and appreciate you showing up, buddy. One of the best co-hosts out there. One of the best co-hosts. The best co-host out there, though, to be honest, is sitting right here.
Yeah! What's
Let's
up,
go.
everybody? TikTok Chess all here, coming back at you with the call-in show with me and Ballard Sports Media. Love Kirby's fire and enthusiasm. Good win for my dogs, but I'll be built for a national title. You have to listen and find out.
Yeah, we're going to look at some ESPN bet odds tonight. We're not gambling. I don't promote it. I don't encourage it. I speak from experience when I say it's wrong. I'm just kidding. I'm not speaking from experience. Chess might be. Anyway.
Whoa! Whoa! I've only gambled one time, and I hated it.
Did you? Only once?
Yes, once.
Are you serious? What? You did?
Yeah, I pressed the button like 2 times and lost like 25, 30 bucks. And I was like, I'm done. I don't want to play no more.
So. Anyway, so the new AP Top 25 is out. I do want to go over that tonight. We'll screen share and everything. And then we'll look at some of the ESPN bet odds. And then, honestly, let's just talk about some of the games we saw yesterday. Obviously, Tennessee upsetting Alabama. No cigar for you, Bama man. Miami played a great game. Holy cow, this was great against Louisville. Clemson 48-31 against Virginia. Mizzou played it close with Auburn, and so many other scores out there. But definitely, I guess, where do you want to start? You want to start with the rankings and just kind of see where everybody's at here?
Let's go over those
ahead.
rankings.
We'll screen share it. We'll take this overlay off real quick. And
yes, let's see who our number one is now that Texas was knocked off, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. When's the last time you saw this? Oregon jumping all the way up, and I don't blame them for that. Georgia 2. Penn State stays put at 3 over Ohio State. Texas only dropping to number 5. I get it. Miami 6, 7-0. Tennessee beats Bama. They jump to 7, up 4 spots from 11. LSU stays put. Clemson, they're up a spot. Iowa State, that's your top 10. But the big shocker, 5-2 Bama dropping 8 spots to number 15.
When is the last time Bama was not in the top 10? Is what I want to
know. When they lost 2 games a few years ago.
Good God, dude! Woo!
Oh, I'm trying to think back though. Was it not 2019? We lost the Iron Bowl, and I mean, gosh, it was pre-COVID and everything. It was last decade, sir. Last decade. Anyway, 6-0 Pitt. That I got to look into that team just a little bit tonight. Who have they done? They haven't beat a ranked team, but wins over North Carolina and Cal, and I guess you could say the Cincinnati, which I guess that's a rivalry, but I don't know what it's called. 28-27 in week 2. That was not too bad. Missouri drops 2 spots. SMU. And, of course, looking at Missouri, too, coming off a really good win over Auburn, but not too impressive on that game, as Auburn obviously struggling out there. Auburn falls to 0-4 in conference play, 2-5 on the year. They got to be careful going forward. SMU, Army, and Nate. Dude, this was what I was talking about a little bit yesterday. Obviously, you told me you were watching and all that, and like, uh, Army and Navy. When's the last time Army and Navy were this good in the regular season? And could
Probably.
they be undefeated
Mhm.
when the game rolls around in December with a group
Probably.
of 5 playoff spot on the line? Could they both
Probably.
get in?
Maybe. I mean, the last time they were probably that good was probably the 50s or 60s. Finally, Vanderbilt is ranked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I
Let's
want them to be
go. I
ranked.
love it. I
They
love it.
deserved it. They deserve it.
Yeah. I want to see who else got votes though. Who got dropped? Michigan. Oh. Other
They're
votes.
yeah.
Yeah. Washington State, Syracuse, UNLV, Duke, South Carolina, Liberty, and Nebraska. That's not bad votes right there, but obviously a 5-2 dude. Vandy needs one win and they're going bowling. This team is awesome, and I know they beat us. I understand. I love Clark Lee though. I love Pavia. I love all those players. They're really, really good chess.
Yes. Michigan's a fraud. I'm so glad they're not in the top 25. I can't stand them. But Ballard, I'd like to scroll up to the top 5 right quick if you don't mind, sir. I have a little bit of a hot take, if I'm being honest. I
All
don't
right,
think
let's
I
zoom
don't
in. Focus on the top 5 here. Let's
I
go.
don't think I don't think Georgia's the number 2 team in the country. We literally played 2 games. The rest of the games we played like crap. Carson Beck needs, I don't know what he needs to do. But Beck played awful. Thank God we have a defense. Georgia plays up to its competition. Texas is a good team, and we may see Texas again in the SEC title. I'm calling it now. Texas is making to the SEC title. And do
Yeah.
y'all play Texas here, right? Bama?
No, no, we get
Okay, so that's
Oklahoma
good.
instead.
That's good. Y'all will murder Oklahoma. I think Georgia
Maybe.
deserves the number 4 spot or the 3 spot. I don't think Georgia's the number 2 team in the country right now. Honestly, that's just my honest
I
opinion.
would go this. I not that it's based on record, but Penn State's playing like one of the best teams out there. I guess you could put Oregon up there having the best record of anyone at 7-0. That makes sense. I would jump Penn State and maybe Ohio State over Georgia, and then I would put Georgia maybe there at 4. I would go those 3 Big Ten teams. I would go Georgia, then I would go Texas, and the rest of them honestly could fight.
Yeah, and Georgia or Oregon, I picked Oregon at the beginning of the season to be in the national championship against Georgia. Or Dan Lanning has taken that Oregon program and just absolutely dominated. I think Oregon could give Georgia or Penn State or even Ohio State or Texas a run for the money. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that is true. That's good. Um, if it was based on record, which obviously it's not because we got some one-loss teams in there. How would you put the undefeated teams? Because I would probably, ooh, I don't know. I mean, if it was based on record, it's Oregon, it's Miami, then it's Penn State. Well, no, it'd be Iowa State and BYU, Indiana. Penn State would be like out of the top 4 there, right? And then you get teams like Penn State and Pitt. And if it was based on record,
Yeah, but
Army
they're
7-0, but it's
yeah
not based on record. But
they're
let me
going
ask you
straight.
this:
Yeah, go ahead.
if it was, because they're going on strength of schedule, like you were fixing to say,
Yeah,
how would you rank the undefeated teams right now?
Oregon definitely number 1, and I would put. Let's see who else is undefeated. Say Oregon. I'd put Penn State 2. I would put Miami. No, I would put Miami 2, Penn State 3,
Okay,
and then BYU 4, Iowa State 5, and then go down a little bit, and
Indiana,
then Indiana, and then whatever the next one is undefeated.
Pitt, Pitt,
Pitt,
and
and then
then there should be one more.
Army, Navy.
Army and Navy. Yeah.
Yep, that would be your top. Let
Dude.
me let's respond to Mayhem Matthew. Carson Bay didn't play great, but let's not act like the wide receivers didn't drop balls. Not last night. Beck had an interception last night that was tipped by Lawson Lucky. Well, so I get that Mayhem, but at some points in the game, Carson looked kind of lost and made terrible throws. I will say some of the wide receivers did not step up like they're supposed to. But at the same time, I think our next garbage game, which I don't think we have a next garbage game. Maybe I don't think we do. I'm not sure. I think we need to try the backup one time at least, just to see how he does. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, Texas tried with Arch Manning, and Arch Manning looked like he didn't know what a football was. So, anyways, go ahead, Ballard. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Uh, let me think. Let's pick on a team real quick. Let's pick on a two-loss team because if two-loss teams can make the playoffs, I got some questions about some of these. I'm going to
Sure.
stop the screen share on the rankings. I'm
Uh
going to
huh.
pull up a team schedule, and I
Okay.
want you to tell me if it's possible they win out and make the playoffs.
Okay.
The team I'm fixing to show you, we all love the coach. Some of us, anyway. Tennessee probably has some beef. Bama loves them. But how about Ole Miss sitting there with only 2 losses? You look at the rest of their schedule. I know Georgia's good, and I know they're motivated after that Bama game. But Ole Miss gets them at home. Time to be announced. Outside of that, do they really lose any more games? And what if they win out? What if they upset Georgia? What if Georgia's sitting there with 2 losses? Can a 10-2 Ole Miss, let's play hypothetical, let's say they do beat Georgia. I don't think it's going to happen. But let's say they
Hmm.
win the Egg Bowl, Florida, all these games, they win out. Um, make the playoffs, Ole Miss?
Depends on what the top 10. What depends what the top 12 teams are. It just depends.
It does, but think about it. You would have beaten. So it's kind of one of those things where you lost to LSU, you lost to Kentucky. They were both by 3 points, one in
Mhm.
overtime. Okay.
Yep.
So games that could have gone their way. You beat Oklahoma, you beat Arkansas, you beat Florida, and
Mhm.
Mississippi State. And but you have that Georgia win. And Georgia's looking like one of the best teams, obviously, especially after taking out number 1 Texas. So, does the lack of strength of schedule get offset if they're able to pull this off at home on November 9th? What do you say? Can it
Uh,
offset? Can they finish 10-2 and make a playoff spot?
yeah, obviously they can, but like I said again, Ballard, it depends on the teams above them, strength of schedule.
Right.
If they went out, sure, they could make a playoff easily. I've already said that in the near future we're going to see a two-loss national championship team. I already think it's going to happen. But does Ole Miss win out? No, I think Georgia does beat Ole Miss, and I hate to say this, I think Florida gives them trouble too. Lane Kiffin is kind of like Mark Rick in a way. He can't get it done in the big games. He's terrible in big games. That's all I'm gonna say. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's at Ole Miss, Georgia at Ole Miss. That I mean, I get that, but I think Georgia's gonna have something for Ole Miss. We're not overlooking them for sure. We're definitely not overlooking them, but
Oh,
I
of
think
course not.
Ole Miss is gonna be a world of hurt when Georgia goes in there and plays them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
even Bama could still make the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, but here's the thing: these 2 lost teams, a 5-2 Ole Miss, a 5-2 Alabama. You also got like a 5-2 Vandy. They're all still in contention for. Well, they're not all. They're not all in contention for that. Well, okay, let's call it what it is. Georgia beating Texas solidified a Georgia Texas rematch, right? No one's stopping Texas. Now they do have to play Vanderbilt,
Yeah.
but I think Texas is going to be motivated. I think they beat Vandy and their third loss.
Yeah.
I look at this. I look at the SEC. You got a 6-1 Missouri.
Hmm.
Okay, hear me out. You got a 5-2 Vandy. You got a 5-2 Bama. You have a currently 6-1 Tennessee, 6-1 LSU. I know we talk about the history of the SEC, how dominant all the teams have been, but when you really think about it, when a team won a championship, They dominated everybody else. Is there anyone out there at the moment? I mean, Texas, outside of Georgia, has dominated everyone else they played. Tennessee, outside of who did they lose to? They lose to Florida, or they beat Florida. They lost to Arkansas. Outside of that, they've somewhat dominated. Let me say this: has it ever been this good in the SEC to where we have all these teams, especially considering the changes that have taken place with Texas and OU with the 12-team playoff? Is this the best that we've seen from the SEC in terms of the race for the 12-team playoff? The different teams that can get in. We're probably only getting two or three, but it's deep. It's really deep. And maybe there was a time in the 90s, early 2000s, Tim Tebow and all that, Les Miles at LSU, the dominant era of Nick Saban, of course. It was so good back in the day. And I don't know if you top that. But you look at how the season's played out for some of these teams, the teams that we're seeing be very good, like Vandy and Missouri, it just feels so different, but it feels so good. What do you say to that?
Um, the last time things were shaking up this bad, it was like '07, I think. '07 was a pretty
Yeah,
crazy year.
this is I almost in the off season. Well, maybe I did. Well, no, I didn't. But I wanted to do a stream, and I almost did, and I wish I did do a stream like can 2024 be like 2007? And I'm like, this will be a great idea, but I got
I
busy with
hope
work.
not because 2007 Georgia got screwed going to the Natty, but that's just me.
Yeah,
No, but I think the SEC's down this year, about if you actually look at it, dude. I mean,
really.
honestly, Bama's not as dominant.
Yeah,
Georgia is playing a little bit dominant, but let's just be honest here. The Georgia team this year is not as dominant as we've seen past Georgia teams, right? You have Vandy in contention for the playoffs. Okay, that's insane.
okay. Yeah,
Tennessee, they're frauds. Honestly, look at the quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. I think Tennessee loses to Georgia. If I'm being honest here, because it's at Georgia. Thank God. I think the SEC's down a little bit, man. We not down a little bit. The SEC is up for contention, like you said. There's not just one
yeah.
dominant team in the SEC this year. There's multiple dominant teams. I think the SEC takes over the college football playoffs this year. I think we could see up to 3 or 4 SEC teams in the playoffs this year.
So wait, you say that about them making the playoff, but kind of reiterate there what you say when it's actually down.
It's
Because think about it, man. Like I could look here and see one, two, three, four, five plus two undefeated teams when you look at conference records, right? So
hmm
two undefeated teams and then five with the only one loss that are still kind of sort of up there in contention for the title game. If it ended right now at this very second, too,
Yep.
if you look based on record in conference, you
hmm
know who's in the Southeastern Conference title right now? You want to take a guess?
Is it Tennessee or Georgia?
Nope. Nope.
Vandy?
Nope.
Who?
A&M and LSU, who are undefeated in conference play, and they're the only teams.
Yeah, but we all know what's going to happen with LSU and
We
A&M.
know what's going to happen, but I was going to make a point there, like, hey, if it ended right this second, and we're
Yeah, yeah.
setting up the title game, like, that's how
hmm
cool it is you still have these teams. It's not going to happen. Like,
Mm-mm.
this season's unpredictable, but it's not like the improbable is going to happen every conference. I think we're going to get a Georgia Texas rematch. I think Vandy could make some noise. I think Bama's done. I'm just going to write it off. I mean, they need a lot of chaos to reach the SEC title, and I'm talking chaos. But if I had to put money on some teams, I guess it's Georgia Texas again because they're really just the two best. But let's say if we step outside of that, if you had to take one of those teams to make it, who's your money on? And then
I
also, what team's going to reach it there? Is it Nico? Is it LSU, who's had a pretty decent defense?
mhm.
Is it Missouri? Who's outside of Georgia and Texas that makes the SEC title if you had to remove one of them, maybe?
I think I put Tennessee in there. Honestly, I mean they're playing pretty good. They got a good defense. I mean I, I'm gonna kind of agree with Matthew. He says LSU versus Georgia in the SEC title. But if LSU, I think LSU does beat A&M honestly, and I think the A&M beats Texas. If I'm being honest, because that Texas A&M Texas game I believe is at College Station. College Station is one of the hardest places to play in the world.
Yeah.
And Texas had the home crowd advantage, and look what they did against Georgia. Not nothing. You know what I mean? So it's either going to be Georgia versus LSU or Georgia versus Texas in the SEC title. I'm calling it now. I'm calling my shot.
Yeah.
Even if Georgia doesn't get into the SEC title, I still think Georgia makes the playoffs with 2 losses. I really do. Look at the wins they have. You know, they beat
Yeah.
Clemson. Clemson's doing great right now. They beat Texas. Texas was undefeated. Who they've lost to? Bama, but Bama's lost 2 games already.
But let me ask you this. Let's say if Georgia doesn't make it, what if they lose another SEC game or just another game in general, but especially an SEC game? And the reason they don't make it is, well, you got 2 SEC losses. You got Alabama, and then, I don't know, pick your poison down the road, like that Ole Miss game or something, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm breaking
How
my
are you
TV if
going
it
to put
happens.
I know, I know. I'm surprised I still have mine. But
Mhm.
how would you would you really still put them in the playoff?
Depends on what teams are above them, and if they're in the top 10, why not? It's a 12-team playoff. You got to
So
put the
that's
top
why
10
I
in.
draw this to you. What about Alabama? What if they win out now? Because they got 2 SEC losses
I
too.
said that
Does
already,
it
Ballard.
depend?
I said that. I said that
Okay.
Alabama can still make the playoffs. I really do think they still could.
Okay.
All they got
I
to do
just
is
want to
win
make
out.
sure. I must have
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
that. I must have
No,
missed
you're
that.
good.
Okay.
If whoever's in the top 10 is going to the playoffs, and you realistically think that Bama or Georgia, well, take that back, not Bama, sorry. Do you realistically think Georgia's not going to be in the top 10 when it comes to the end of the year? Honestly, your honest answer.
I think a lot would have to happen for them not to be in the
Exactly.
top 10.
Exactly. All
But
these.
it's not going to
Uh,
happen in terms of that. The a lot part is not going to
mm-hmm.
happen, and they will be in the top 10, at
uh,
least the top 5. I mean, because even if they make the SEC title and face LSU or Texas or whoever, let's say they win out. Let's say they go to the SEC title and they lose.
mm-hmm.
They very well, if it's close, especially if it's like Texas again, are they not top 5 still? Like, not even are they like top 10, but are they even top 5? I would be curious about that, and I think they could be. That's my call. But at the same
Maybe.
time,
Uh-huh.
I think it's close.
I agree with Cody Hankins. I do think Alabama still has a shot at the SEC championship. Bama fans, dude, I've been seeing it all over Twitter. I'm sure you have too, Ballard. They want to fire DeBoer. That's crazy to fire DeBoer. It's his
They're
first
stupid.
season. George
And
or Kurt,
he's stepping in the biggest shoes. Like, what do you want from him?
exactly.
You can't
Give
replace Saban. Someone's got to
give
be the coach, otherwise we shut it down. Anyway,
give DeBoer 2 or 3 years. Let him get his own recruiting class in there and see how he does. And if he does terrible, get rid of him. But
yeah.
Kirby was the same way. His first year, he lost 4 games. We lost to Vanderbilt at home on homecoming. You know, you can't judge. You can't. I know, right? You can't judge a coach off of his first year. That's like going in and being a teacher at a school and sucking your first day and getting fired. That makes no sense. You got to give the teacher a time to adapt to the culture. But Nick Saban can adapt to this new culture, which is the NIL deals, right? So Caleb DeBoer, give him a year or two, and I'm pretty sure he'll be up there and good. Bama's not going anywhere. I'm so tired of people saying that just because Nick Saban left, the dynasty's dead. The dynasty's not dead. It's not dead at all. It's still much in effect.
I think the dynasty was not dead even before Saban got there, man. Because think about it. Like, now you could say it took a pause, but
Hmm.
if you really think about it, for a team like Alabama in program history, Bear Bryant, Gene Stallings, even before Bear Bryant, I mean, there was a guy, I don't know, what was his name? Oh, Frank Thomas. And then all the way to Nick Saban. Like, they're a historically good program.
Uh-huh.
They are. Now, for Georgia, you had 1980, you had one in the 40s. It wasn't enough for a dynasty, but how Kirby's doing it now, I especially if they win it this year, they are a dynasty with Kirby. I'm still holding my breath on that, but is he doing enough right now to where you can go ahead and call it a dynasty? I think he's on track, and I would be shocked if it doesn't get there. I'm not
I'm
quite
going.
ready to say it.
I'm gonna say it is a dynasty because let's look at it,
Okay,
Ballard.
I get it.
2006, Mark Rick. We didn't have a dynasty, right? With Mark Rick, I mean, we were good, but we wasn't elite.
Yeah,
2016, we did terrible. 2017, nobody expected Georgia to play in the national title that year at
right.
all against Bama. That is when the dynasty started. We haven't had a bad year since 2017. That's 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5, 6, 7. That's 8 or 9 years. That's a dynasty right there. Two national championships back to back. That's a dynasty.
The
You have
one
to call it a
thing that you
dynasty.
gotta, the one thing you focus on in a dynasty too, and I'll give you props, consistency. And
Exactly.
nobody has been more consistent with 10 or more wins than Kirby Smart, outside of what Nick Saban's done. But he's gone. Let's move on. Okay? Bama fans, can we move on? Now we pass the torch to DeBoer, see what he can do. Can he hit 10 wins this year? I think it's possible. It's going to be hard. He's got to win out.
Yep. I mean, DeBoer is a winning coach. He came to a winning program. Let's see what he can do. Don't get rid of him first year. That's stupid. Unless he's Dan Mullen. You can always get rid of Dan Mullen because he's a clown. But let's say hey to the comment section, man. Let me shout out some people out here in the comment section if you don't mind, sir. What's up,
Yeah.
Cody? How you doing, buddy? Mayhem Matthew, of course, one of the best co-hosts on here with Ballard. We got Amy. How you doing, Amy? Nice to see you, beautiful. Who else is on here? Girth Brooks. Love that name. It's hilarious. Shout out to you. Yeah, Girth Brooks says the bid. He said the SEC is dead and the Big Ten is taking over. What crack or medication are you on?
Shout out to the Mad Tea Sipper here, too. I'm here to say I've been telling a-holes all week this was going to happen.
Shout
Okay.
out to the Mad Tea Sipper. Long time no see, buddy. Hope you're doing good, doing great. But yeah, like I said, Girth Brooks, what crack pipe are you smoking to think the Big Ten is taking over?
Now, there is a scenario, possibly, if I don't think it's Georgia, Texas. I don't know about Bama, but Georgia and Texas right now. Let's
Yep.
say years down the road,
Hmm.
those teams are consistent and the other teams fall off. But you
Hmm.
look at the Big Ten with Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, that's three, and you only got Georgia and Texas in the SEC. Is there a scenario going forward where the Big Ten takes over? I think it's possible, but in terms of accolades, there's a lot that the SEC has that's going to take decades upon decades and generations of players to build
Oh,
upon. But if you want to talk about current standard and what looks better, I could see a scenario where we look at some seasons where we said the Big Ten's the best conference that year.
hmm.
It wouldn't shock me.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. What does Bama need to do to make the SEC championship, Chess Hall? They need Georgia to lose another game. They need Tennessee to lose another game. They also need, they actually probably need Tennessee to lose 2 more games, if I'm being honest here. They need Texas to lose another
Tiebreaker.
game. They need Texas to lose another game or two. That's the only way that Bama's getting into the SEC title. Which I think if you win your conference, you deserve an automatic bid to the playoff. That's just how I am. That's just how I've always been. Bama's still in it. I don't care what anybody says, Bama fans, whatever. And let me go back to Girth Brooks here. He says USC, Wisconsin, Michigan. Michigan's a fraud. Wisconsin's stupid, and USC sucks. Moving on.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Nah, that's it, bro. Y'all call in, man. We'd love to talk to you guys tonight, for real.
Yes.
Anyone's welcome. I'll drop that link one more time here. We'll keep it going. We're gonna hang out here, but let's see. I'm on ESPN Bet still. They got game spreads, and again, I'm not placing bets, but it is fun to look at. I don't I don't know where I want to start with some of these odds. I guess. Let's see. College football playoff.
Well, Georgia's
That's
got
first bad.
Georgia gets another
Georgia's
win this
got to be
week.
at the top.
Georgia's
Yeah.
got another win this week. We're gonna defeat the off week, so we're good. I'm glad we got off week. Thank God.
Good. Yeah.
hmm
Bama's. I don't even. Who do we get again? We get we get Missouri. Oh.
Oh, that's a good game.
Oh crap. At least it's at home though. I'll take
Jalen
it at
Milrow
home.
has been running from his life. Go ahead.
They're good. Missouri's defense is strong, and you got Luther Burden at wide receiver, and then their quarterback he's good. I forget his name though, but is it Brody? What is it? Cook?
Brody Keek.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Mayhem Matthew. Let's add him in there. Here you go.
What up, bro?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Just watching the Ballard Sports Media call-in show, and you said call in, so I just
Sure.
decided to call in.
All right. What you got tonight?
Um, Bama's not making the SEC title game. That's what I got for y'all.
I
And
would not disagree.
look, do they realistically have a chance? Yes. Okay. I mean, duh, of course. But I think we've seen enough football up until this point to know that Bama, the way they look right now, that's just how Bama's going to look for the rest of the season. And I know in the comment section people are saying, "Well, who has LSU played?" Because I picked LSU. Remember, I picked LSU before the season even started. I said LSU versus Georgia. You know that, Ballard, but you even gave me a lot of heck about it. But I just believe LSU outside of that first loss, and they struggled offensively, but it seems like every single week they get better and better and better. You know, this past weekend they beat the heck out of Arkansas, and say what you want about Arkansas, but Arkansas is better than what your expectations was in the offseason. You probably was thinking that they wouldn't even win 5 or 6 games. So they're at 4 wins right now. They'll probably get to a bowl game. So whatever you thought about Arkansas in the offseason, I think Arkansas is better, but they demolished them 34-10. I felt like their running game is starting to be really good now. You know, Durham went over 100 yards, and defensively, say what you want about LSU's defense, they're a lot better than they were last year. And I feel like that's really all they needed last year to be a contender. And say what you want about Brian Kelly, he's a winner. So winners win and losers lose. And I'm just on the LSU bandwagon train right now, and I've been ever since the offseason. So yeah, LSU.
All right.
I like it. You want to go ahead and bring up Cody? Oh no, Cody left. Never my bad. You
Oh.
guys can call in. Appreciate Matthew calling in. Thank you. Yeah, Bama's not gonna make the SEC title. I'm sorry, Ballard. I love you, buddy, but I'm just being honest.
No, I know.
But-
I didn't expect them to. I went into this season and I liked Georgia and Texas. I liked Alabama's team 3, but I even said we'd probably have 3 losses. We're sitting here with 2. I did not expect it to be Vanderbilt, but I did expect Tennessee because Tennessee at home. Why not?
But
Um,
I do have a question real quick before I get off here. I have a
yeah,
quick question. For Ballard is like realistically with the like what you've seen so far with Alabama playing. I mean, do you think it's a realistic possibility that y'all run the table? I mean, I know you just said that y'all probably lose one more game, but y'all still have LSU. Y'all still have uh, I can't remember who else y'all have on the schedule, but y'all have a pretty tough schedule left, right?
well, we got Missouri at home. Here's what I'll say. I don't think they lose back-to-back games, obviously. I think they're favored by 14 over Missouri, and I think that's just because they're at home. If it was at Missouri, it might be closer, but I think we beat Missouri. I don't want to touch that LSU game. We'll beat Mercer. And then at Oklahoma is tough, and then the Iron Bowl is always tough. I've been saying since the offseason on that Iron Bowl, I say Kalen DeBoer needs to get it together and understand what it means to win that game in this state and realize this is the biggest rivalry in college football and in the SEC and everything. And he has to get it together. So there is plenty of room for error. I mean, I would not be shocked if they end up 9-3, but at the same time, if they went out, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Now, uh, I agree with what you and Chess said earlier in the stream. You said, just because it's your first year, you don't want to fire the coach. I totally agree with that because I think Kalen DeBoer is a winner. I do, but I also think that there is a problem, a locker room problem at Alabama, and let me explain why I believe that is because just uh, the whole entire deal um, that like players get to do whatever they want to, not really listening to coaches and stuff like that. Just having that mentality that that they get to do whatever they want to. It's just to me a big locker room issue, and also Caleb Odom retweeted a post that was about the wide receiving room, and somebody posted like, "Why can't you use Caleb Odom more in the receiving game?" And he retweeted it, and so obviously he's letting people know that he wants to be used more. And honestly, Ryan Williams, everybody knows he's 17, but I'll say this, like, um, imagine being like a junior or senior or even a sophomore and you're not really getting the touches that you want and you're getting beat out by a 17-year-old Ryan Williams. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I the locker room and the wide receiving room in the locker room's got to be kind of tough as well. I just think there might be a problem in the locker room. Maybe the new guys that DeBoer brought in, and then the old guys that Saban had. Maybe they're just not clicking together, not gelling well, and that's pretty much how the transfer portal is. Works now, and especially with a new coach, new philosophies, new schemes, and everything like that. I know I'm kind of going off the rails here, but I just because y'all have the talent to definitely. Y'all have the talent. Y'all should not be losing to Vanderbilt. Y'all should not be losing to. I don't think Tennessee. I think Tennessee's overhyped. Just like Chess Hall said earlier. I just Nico Imiyamalava doesn't look good to me. And the only reason why Tennessee is winning games is because of their defense. They have a really strong defense. And it's crazy how just a couple years ago they wanted to fire Tim Banks as the defense coordinator. Now, all of a sudden, Tennessee Volunteer fans love Tim Banks. But yeah, where's Chess at?
Oh, he dropped out. He said he was going to bed.
Well, I'm sorry if I Sorry about
No,
that.
you're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
I wanted to. I called in to talk to both of y'all, but I mean, I just yes, I'm gonna stand until LSU is out of this race. Every single week, I'm going to say LSU is going to be in the SEC until they lose, until they are completely out of the SEC title race. Every week, I'm gonna get on here and say it. I mean, I predicted LSU to go 11-1. Yes, my one loss was not to Southern Cal, but this team is consistently winning games outside of that first game, and I don't know what it is with Brian Kelly in game ones. I don't understand. Never will understand. But I just think right now LSU's playing their best ball at the right time. And, they had a running back injury in the very first game. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but Durham is finally starting to get to where he's looking really good, and he's standing out at the right times. And whenever I look at Bama and LSU, okay, I see LSU getting better and better, and I see Bama regressing on offense, getting a little bit better on defense, not as bad as what they were against Vanderbilt. They've done a little bit better with defense, but also offensively, I mean, y'all are regressing. Y'all only scored 17 points against Tennessee. Y'all went from scoring in the 40s to the 20s to against South Carolina, now and to 17 against Tennessee. So I mean, y'all kind of going down, and turnovers are a problem on Alabama's offense. I feel like y'all just need to go back to the drawing board and remember why and how y'all became Alabama. And y'all have the talent. It ain't like y'all don't have the talent. Y'all have the talent. Y'all have the players to do it. And Kalen DeBoer's a winner. So y'all just got to really go back to the square one and remember where y'all came from, and go out there and play some Bama football. Don't, I feel like this mentality that just because y'all are Alabama, y'all going to win the game, that mentality's got to go away. This is there's a lot more parity in college football. Just because you have the Crimson A on your helmet, that doesn't mean you automatically win games. And this team is starting to realize that.
No, I got you. You know, just because they're Alabama doesn't make them like I don't want them to get complacent or entitled. You're entitled to doing your job as a football player. Um, you it Nick Saban did not just win national titles with magic dust or something. He built a culture, he built a program unlike anybody has ever seen. And another thing I gotta say is these Alabama fans out there that expect Caleb DeBoer to do the same thing are crazy. There's not a coach in college football today that could do what Nick Saban did or better. You just can't.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this question because I want to get your thoughts on this. So, outside of the first year, I'm not talking about this year. Um, Maybe next year. What 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 record would Alabama have to go for next year for you to say, okay, I've seen enough of the Kalen DeBoer experience. This is it. Like, what record would Bama have to go next year? Scratch this year. This is the very first year, but next year, what would be what would be the last straw for you?
9-3 or worse. Because year 2 is where it's gotta pick up, right? Think about it.
Right. especially in the NIL era of college football. I mean, it's a win, and it's sad to see it like this because it used to be give a coach 5 or 6 years to build the program, but now seems like with the NIL era and stuff like that, and you can get these transfers and stuff like that to build your team faster. Seems like if you're not at an elite level in year 2 or 3, you're fired.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you would say what 9-3 or worse?
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just I'll leave it. I'll leave you with this. Georgia, they, my Georgia Bulldogs had a great win yesterday. Everybody counted them out. I was even kind of doubting them myself because of offensive struggles, and it looked like defense only played a half of football, and it just couldn't get no pass rush on anybody all season. And well, Georgia showed up and they showed out, and I feel like what I do want everybody to keep on doubting Georgia. I do, honestly, because that's whenever Georgia plays its best. Seems like whenever Georgia's on top of the world, number one in the country, and then they find themselves losing a game that they probably shouldn't, which, Bama circled Georgia. That was, whether you like to hear this or not, Ballard, that was pretty much their Super Bowl. They tried all they could to beat Georgia, and they succeeded. And I gave y'all congratulations on it. Y'all are number one for 1 week, and Kirby Smart always says humility is always 1 week away. And I never understood. I mean, I understood what he was saying, but I never quite understood that because I'm like, whenever he used to say that, when we used to play Vanderbilt, he would say, humility is only 1 week away. And I'm like, bro, it's Vanderbilt, right? And I realized what he says now is absolutely true. I mean, even if you're playing Vanderbilt, humility is only 1 week away. You might be on top of the world 1 week, and the next week you get slapped in the mouth. And I've said this to a couple of my friends. I said, if Bama plays Vanderbilt 10 more times, Alabama beats them 10 more times. You know what I mean? This is just one of them weird games where y'all wasn't planning on Vanderbilt being competition. Y'all thought y'all was just going to have an easy win because y'all are Alabama. And that wasn't the case. I actually thought the whole entire game, I'm going to be honest with you, I actually thought the whole entire game that y'all would eventually come back and win. I wasn't worried, which I wasn't worried anyways because it's not my team. But, for Alabama's sake, I really wasn't worried about Bama being down at halftime or being down in the third quarter, even being down in the fourth quarter. I was like, they're gonna pick it up because what did y'all do in the South Florida game? Y'all scored like 20 points in a row in the last 2 minutes of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said that probably will happen. I was waiting on that to happen versus Vanderbilt. I was like, oh yeah, they'll probably score like 3 or 4 touchdowns right there at the end. Vanderbilt's not going to have the depth or the gas to keep on going with Alabama. But Vanderbilt proved me wrong. And I'll say this last thing because I'm starting to get off on a rant and tangent here, and it's getting late. But I'll say this: Vanderbilt, if they don't make because right now this is the hardest part of their schedule right now. I really don't see an easy win for them. I know Auburn sucks right now, but they got to go on the road at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah.
South Carolina is a possibility, but South Carolina's defensive front, their whole entire defense really is extremely good. So not sure if that's a 50-50 game in my eyes. So I mean, next week they're going to lose. Texas ain't going to lose back to back like that. They're not going to be embarrassed by Vanderbilt. I wouldn't think so anyways. They would learn lessons from other teams that lost. So I don't think. So what I'm saying is, it don't get any easier for Vanderbilt. So at this point, if they don't make a bowl game, that Georgia State loss is going to sting a whole lot more. Because right
Oh, yeah.
now, if they could get bowl eligibility with either beating, I think the only two reasonable games that they could win would probably be South Carolina or Auburn. Them are the only two. I don't see. I mean, maybe. I mean, call me crazy, but I'm gonna say it anyways because if it happens, I'm gonna clip this and I'll post it. But can we see Tennessee lose to Vanderbilt? I don't know. That's a good question. But
Possible.
I
Definitely
mean,
possible.
Tennessee's offense ain't looking so dominant like it did 2 years ago. I mean, right now Tennessee's winning games defensively. So could we see at the very end of the year Vanderbilt pull off an upset against Tennessee? Maybe Tennessee's looking ahead to maybe playoff contention or maybe possible SEC title contention or something like that, and maybe they overlook Vanderbilt and remember a couple years ago South Carolina beat Tennessee, and we didn't expect that to happen. You know what I mean? Could we see something like
Yeah.
that happen versus Vanderbilt? I don't know, but I guess the two major possibilities to get that sixth win would either be South Carolina or Auburn, and them are not looking too hot because South Carolina has, like I said, has a really good defense and they can put up points offensively. I think Lenora Sellers, he has shades of looking really good at times, and sometimes he don't look so good. But he definitely lit up Oklahoma's defense, and that's not an easy thing to do versus Oklahoma's defense because Oklahoma's defense is pretty good. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here, and I'll keep on watching Ballard. Like and subscribe, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Mayhem. Appreciate you, buddy. Looks like we don't have any more callers. We got a few people watching though. So it's not getting late, but it has been a long day for me, and I got another long one tomorrow with school and then work. And I got a quiz tomorrow, so I probably should get some rest. I love you guys. We're gonna get out of here early. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up, and Bama's gonna be okay. We'll bounce back this next week, hopefully against Missouri. We'll see. Get that at home, and uh, congrats to Tennessee. Enjoy those cigars. Love y'all. Jesus loves you. God bless. And we'll see you next time.